Good day, everyone. My name is Regine Proman, and I am a best IT 1B student. And in this video, we will able to tackle about the simple and compound interest. But first, let me introduce to you the business mathematics. As said, the simple and compound interest is one of the most important topics covered in business mathematics. So let's start. Business mathematics. So, what is business mathematics? Business mathematics consists of mathematical concepts related to business. It comprises mainly profit, loss, and interest. Math is the base of any business. Business mathematics financial formulas, measurements which helps to calculate profit loss, the interest rates, tax calculations, salary calculations, which helps to finish the business task effectively and efficiently. So, business mathematics is used by commercial companies to record and manage business works. Commercial businesses uses maths in departments of accounting, inventory management, marketing, sales forecasting, and financial analysis. And now, let's have the business mathematics basic terms. Number one, the lender or creditor. It is a person or institution who invests the money that makes the funds available. Sila po yung mga tao na nagbibigay or nag-invest ng pera upang may maipapahiram or may maipapautang sa ibang tao. Number two, the borrower or debtor. It is a person or institution who owes the money or avail the funds from the lender. Sila po yung nangungutang. And number three, the origin or loan date. It is the date on which money is received by the borrower. Ito po yung araw na nakuha or na nakuha ng mangungutang or manghihiram yung pera. And number four, the repayment or maturity date. It is a date on which the money borrowed or loaned is to be completely repaid. Ito po yung araw na dapat bayaran ng wasto yung inutang. And the time and term has a symbol of small letter T. It is the amount of time in years that money is borrowed or invested. It is the length of time between the origin date and repayment date. And number six, the principal or P. It is the amount of money borrowed or invested on the origin date. Ito po yung pera na hiniram kung kailan mo kinuha yung pera. So, number seven, the rate, and has a symbol of small letter R. It is an annual rate, usually in percent, charged by the lender or rate of increase of the investment. Ito po yung porsyento na inyong hiniram na nakalagay sa inyong kontrata sa inyong inutangan. And number eight, interest or I. It is the amount paid or earned for the use of money. Ito po yung pera na makukuha if you will able to use the money pag nangutang kayo. And it's just like interest at tubo na inyong inutang. So, the interest will be calculated from principal multiplied by a number of rate, and that will be ang equal niyan ay interest. Simple interest, it is interest computed on the principal and then added to it. So, ito po yung principal na inyong inutang. And ang interest niya. So, it will be added. So, yung interest at principal, if we will able to add that one, it will equal to simple interest. While the compound interest or IC, it is the interest computed on the principal and also to the accumulated past interest. So ito po yung inutang na hindi mo nabayaran in an exact time. In an exact time, that's the reason why natubuan din yung inutang mo. And as well as yung interest. And the number 11, the maturity or future value, or has a symbol of capital letter F. It is the amount after 2 years that the lender receives from the borrower on the maturity date. Ito po yung pera na makukuha ng nagpapautang mula sa umutang, yung pera na hiniram during the maturity date or yung pagbabayad ng inutang po. So, yun po ang mga basic terms of business mathematics. And now let's proceed to the interest, as our topic in this for today's video is all about the simple interest and compound interest. But first, let me introduce you to interest. We've been discussed previously the interest, and interest is defined as the cost of borrowing money. As in the case of interest charged on a loan balance, conversely, interest can be the rate paid for money on deposit. As in the case of a certificate of deposit, interest can be calculated in two ways: simple interest or compound interest. Simple interest is calculated on principal or original amount of a loan, while the compound interest is calculated on the principal amount and the accumulated interest of previous periods, and thus can be regarded as interest on interest. So, upang maunawaan natin ng mabuti kung ano ang simple interest at compound interest, let me introduce you the simple interest with an example, and as well as yung formula kung paano makukuha yung simple interest. Simple interest is interest calculated on principal portion of a loan or the original contribution to a savings account. Simple interest does not compound, meaning that an account holder will only gain interest on the principal and a borrower will never have to pay interest on interest already accrued. So, the formula for calculating simple interest is principal times interest rate times term of the loan. Or simple interest is equals to P times R times T, wherein P is equals to principal, R is equals to rate, and T is equals to time or term. So let's have this one example. If simple interest is charged at 5% on a 10,000 pesos loan that is taken out for 3 years, then the total amount of the interest payable by the borrower is calculated as 10,000 pesos times 0.05 times 3 is equals to 1,500 pesos. And now let's take another example. An annual simple interest. Number 1. When invested, the annual interest rate is 7%. The amount earned is 11,200 pesos. Simple interest in 2 years. How much was the original interest? So, the unknown here or the question is, magkano yung principal? So, the given itself is rate is equals to 7%, and in order to get this in decimal, 7 divided by 100 is equals to 0.07, and while the IS or the simple interest is 11,200 pesos. T or time or term is equals to 2 years. The solution itself, IS or simple interest is equals to PRT, and so in this problem, yung wala dito po, ang hahanapin natin is yung principal. So, which is we need to convert the formula para makuha yung P. So, IS is equals to PRT over RT, and para ma-equal siya, we should put an denominator sa IS na PR. So in order to get the principal, the formula is P is equals to IS over RT. So we should get the value of IS, or simple interest, which is 11,200 pesos, over 0.07 multiplied by 2. So let's take a look with the denominator. So 7.07 times 2 is equals to 0.14. So to get the principal, we should divide the simple interest over the RT. So 11,200 pesos divided by 0.14 is equals to 80,000 pesos. So that is the answer for number 1. And the principal is 80,000 pesos to get the 11,200 in 2 years. Another example, number 2. If an entrepreneur applies for a loan amounting 500,000 pesos from a bank, then simple interest of which is 157,500 pesos for 3 years, what interest is being charged? So the unknown here is the rate. So the given itself is principal is equals to 500,000 pesos, and while the simple interest is 157,500 pesos, and the time or term is 3 years. The solution itself is IS, or the simple interest, is equals to PRT, and IS, in order to get the rate or the formula for rate and makuha na to ang rate, so we will able to put a denominator both side a PT, so that makancel ang P and T of PRT. So the formula will be R is equals to IS, or simple interest over PT. So R is equals to 157,500 pesos divided by 500,000 times 3. So first, let's have the denominator. We will able to multiply the 500,000 by 3. So 500,000 times 3 is equals to 1,500,000 pesos. So to get the rate, we will able to divide the 157,500 divided by 1,500,000 pesos. So the answer is 0.105, and in order to get the rate, we will able to multiply it by 100. So the answer is 10.5%. And now let's have the maturity value, or the future value, and simple interest. The formula for maturity value is F is equals to P plus IS, or F is equals to P plus RT. So for example, number 1, how much will you have after 4 years and 3 months if you deposit a 10,000 pesos in a bank that pay 0.5% simple interest? So the given itself is the T, or the time or term, is equals to 4 years and 3 months, and in order to get this, we will able to add the months, or convert the months into a year. So 3 months divided by 12 months is equals to 0.25. So the T is equals to 4.25 years, while the principal is 10,000 pesos, and rate is 0.5%. And in order to get the decimal point of this, we will able to divide it by 100. So 0.5 divided by 100 is equals to 0.005. So the future value is equals to 10,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.05 and multiplied by 4.25. So in order to get this, the value of future, or maturity value, we should compute first the inside of a parenthesis as a PEMDAS rule, or the parenthesis, exponent, multiplication, division, addition and subtraction. So first, let's compute the 0.005 times 4.25, and it is equals to 0.02125. So 1 plus 0.02125 is equals to 1.02125. So 10,000 pesos times 1.02125 is equals to 10,212.5, and this is will be the future value or the maturity value of the number one. And now let's proceed to number two, which is the question is how much should you invest at the simple interest of 7.55% in order to have 300,000 pesos in 2 years. So the given itself is future value is 300,000 while the rate is 7.5, and in order to get this in decimal point we should divide it by 100, so the rate is equals to 0.075. So the future value is equals to P multiplied by 1 plus RT. So 300,000 pesos is equals to P and multiplied by 1 plus 0.075 multiplied by 2. So in order to get the answer, we should first compute uh, the given which is inside in the parentheses. So 0.075 multiplied by 2 is equals to 0.15 or 15. So 1 plus 0.15 is equals to 1.15. So 300,000 pesos is equals to P multiplied by 1.15. So in order to get the principal, we should uh, give a value both sides, a denominator which is 1.15, so that makancel na to ang 1.15 sa kauban sa P. So 300,000 pesos divided by 1.15 and P is equals to P. So 300,000 pesos divided by 1.15 is equals to 260,869.57, and that is the principal and the answer in the number 2. So much for the simple interest, and now let's proceed to the compound interest. What is compound interest? Compound interest or compounding interest is the interest on a loan or deposit calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. So the compound interest formula is the compound interest is equals to P multiplied by 1 plus R and T raised to the power of T minus P. We can use also compound interest is equals to P multiplied by 1 plus R raised to the power of T minus 1. So, or otherwise, IC is equals to future or maturity value minus principal. So, where P is equals to principal, R is equals to interest rate in percentage, and T is the number of compounding periods for a year. A compound interest is a total amount of principal and interest in future or future value, less the principal amount at percent, called the present value or PV. PV is the current worth of a future sum of money or stream of cash flows given a specified rate of return. Continuing with the simple interest example, previously we've been discussed on it. So what will be the amount of interest if it is charged on a compound basis? So in this case it will be interest is equals to 10,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.05 raised to the power of 3 minus 1. So 1 plus 0.05 is equals to 1.05, and it is multiplied by itself to 3, so 1.05 0.05 raised to the power of 3 is equals to 1.1572625, and minus 1 is equals to 0.157625. So in order to get the IC or compound interest is 10,000 multiplied by 0.157625 is equals to 1,576.25. So the compound interest is 1,576.25. And while the total interest payable over the 3 years period of this loan is, like what I said, is 1,576.25, and like the simple interest, the interest amount is not the same for all 3 years because compound interest also takes into consideration the accumulated interest of previous periods. So let's take another example, a maturity value of compound interest. The formula of maturity value or the future value in a compound interest is F is equals to P 1 plus R raised to the power of T, or F is equals to P plus IC, or compound interest, and IC is equals to F minus P, or future minus principal, future value minus principal, where F is equals to future value, P is principal, and R is rate, while the T is term or time. So example number 1, find the maturity value and compound interest if 10,000 pesos is compounded annually at an interest rate of 2% in 5 years. So the given itself is the principal is equals to 10,000 pesos, while the rate is 2%, and in order to get this in decimal point, we need to divide it by 100. So 2 divided by 100 is equals to 0.02. So the time or term is 5 years. So the formula itself is 5 if our future value is equals to P multiplied by 1 plus R raised to the power of T, and 10,000 times 1 plus 0.02 raised to the power of 5. So in order to get the answer, we need to answer first the value of or the number nga naa sa parenthesis. So 1 plus 0.02 is equals to 1.02. So 1.02 raised to the power of 5, it is equals to 1.1041. So to get the future value or the maturity value, 10,000 times 1.1041 is equals to 11,041 pesos. And to get the compound interest, IC is equals to F minus P, which is the future value minus principal. So 11,041 minus 10,000 is equals to 1,041, and this will be the compound interest. And let's proceed to number 2 example. What is the interest of 25,000 pesos if invested at 4.5% compounded annually in 3 years and 2 months? So the given itself is principal is equals to 25,000 pesos, and the rate is 4.5%, and in order to get this in decimal point, we will able to divide it by 100. So 4.5 divided by 100 is equals to 0.045, and the time, which is 3 years and 2 months, and in time we need a year. So we need to divide the 2 months of 12 months. So 2 divided by 12 is equals to 1667. So 3 plus 0.167, it is equals to 3.1667. So the future value is equals to P multiplied by 1 plus R raised to the power of T, and F is equals to 25,000 pesos times 1 plus 0.045 and raised to the power of 3.1667. So In order to get the answer, we should add the 1 plus 0.045, and it is equals to 1.045 raised to the power of 3.1667, and it is equals to 1.1496. So in order to get the future value, 25,000 pesos multiplied by 1.1496 is equals to 28,740 pesos. So that will be the future value. And to get the compound interest, it is equals to F, or future value, minus principal. So 28,740 pesos minus 25,000 pesos, it is equals to 3,740 pesos. And that's all. Thank you for watching. Keep safe and God bless everyone.